We were on the porch most of the night before she vanished, just grilling and eating things like hot dogs and potatoes. Her dad grilled the buns so they got sweet and burnt tasting on the edges. We drank beers and watched her pick at the heads of nails sticking out of the splintering blue wood. Her dad played guitar a little, songs I don't know other than when he plays them. I don't like to drink in front of her. I never got comfortable with it, not really, but that night I just gave into it and drank, and she seemed happy enough, and even her dad seemed a little happy. Or at least that's how I remember it. It was getting dark, but we sat out a little longer while the bugs gathered up to the house lights. They were in her long hair, getting tangled. She got a bite or something that made her come over and get up into my lap. Coyotes used to come by all the time back then, but I can't remember if they did that night or not. We'd hear them circling and sounding off like maniacs, really high-pitched wailing like some hysterical woman lost in the woods. One time, one came right up onto the porch, and her dad got in with a shovel while I watched from the kitchen. He cracked it once and then a few more times for good measure. He wanted to eat the thing, brought it inside, wrapped in a t-shirt from the thrift bag, but there was no way she or I were going to get involved with that, so he buried it in the yard with the dog, 2 cats, and a hamster from before. The roads near us weren't busy, but they were busy enough. They're constantly littered with all kinds of dead or dying. Everything that escapes winds up out there eventually. That's the way it seemed, at least. Her dad has brought every escapee back to us in a tarp. I've told the same story over and over again to the police, to the reporters, to the prep interviews and interviewers and celebrity guests, and you name it. I tell the same story every time. We put her to bed, and when we woke up, she was gone. Her dad and I don't sleep anymore, but we still get into bed. We shut our eyes from time to time until our eyelids get sore or just seem to open up on their own. We'll be quiet for hours, not tossing, not turning, just there on our backs with our arms at our side or folded in our laps. I ask him, what was our daughter like? And he can only say 100% true things that can't be argued. She was without visible flaws, he says. She has tiny hands, like a puppy that's never going to get any bigger. She has thin brown hair. She ate what we worried might be too much ketchup. She liked it on tacos. She preferred warm water. She wasn't scared of anything, even the coyotes. She really only cried when she could tell we thought she might. She was an opportunist. She reminded me of the scarred-up girls in high school. Quiet, funny, solitary, like the best thing I could do for her was to stay out of her way. She worried about the characters in books from the very first page. Is he sad? She would ask over and over. All her toys were put away. The bed was made as if we'd never placed her in it. The back door was open, but the screen was closed. That's the way we did it during the fall, the way we'd done it for years. The screen door slams and we've been meaning to fix it. It's loud enough for us to notice. But neither of us did. If she went out, if someone came in, we should have heard it. But we didn't hear anything. Her dad and I fought the next night. He took it upon himself to burn all of the pictures. What got into him? Beer, I guess, something stronger maybe? He spends nearly all of his home time in a folding chair on the porch or on his back in bed. He was there and I came out and I said, "Where are all the pictures?" After a moment, he told me he burned them. Dug a hole in the yard and burned them and most of the toys and kid diapers and a bunch of things he couldn't remember, and he buried it all. screamed at him, of course, and demanded to know what right he thought he had to do that kind of thing. And he took it for a while until he decided he couldn't do that anymore, and we started hitting one another. Hitting is one of those things everybody tells themselves they would never put up with. Then you get shoved one night during a fight that's more intense than usual. If you're me, you've got a 2-year-old who's looking up to you. You shove back. If we're lucky, it ends there, and you skulk around feeling mad for a day and swearing you're going to leave if he ever does something like that again. And he doesn't. For months. Then there's another shove. Maybe a push, a hand raise, something like that, and it's the same thing all over again, only you get over it a little more easily. You drive your daughter around, talking to her all the while you drive and watch the road and ask questions as if to an empty car. Then a little voice somewhere in the back chirps up and says something about fences and cows and sounding so in love with the world that you just forget most of what's horrible and feel grateful for what you have, however little it is. You head home and you find him there and he's different. You hold on to the shove like a photograph of a dead relative. Every now and then when you look at it, you feel something stirring, but mostly your thoughts turn elsewhere. It's 6 months exactly since we were last on a talk show. The host was this sad guy, someone we'd never heard of, but we'd started doing the shows, so we had to keep doing them. If we turned one down, we weren't looking as hard as we could. We were doing less than before, which meant she was dying in our minds, if not already dead. The first show we went on was a big one. The Jerry Summer Show. It was not like the others, not exploitative, sensational, those things. It was a wholesome show. We used to watch it when she was little, and Jerry would tell us tips and tricks on how to keep her healthy and happy, and how to keep the house healthy and happy. Tips like to spice up a lunchbox, mix salsa in with sour cream and put it on a turkey sandwich, leans out the sour cream, adds a little spicy kick, as well as a few diced vegetables. Anyway, I'm not ashamed to say that I was a little excited to meet Jerry Summers. Most people would say they didn't care, that they were only thinking of their daughter. I didn't think any less of her. She hasn't left my mind since the day she arrived. But I made extra room for Jerry. He was in there with her, in my mind, telling her it was going to be okay, telling us both. And then he was telling us in person. Her dad hired this woman to screen the phone calls, the interview questions, that kind of thing. He gave her a list of things we didn't want to talk about, things that might trigger a bad reaction or render us speechless or distraught. We were going to be on TV. We needed to be clear and direct and hold it together. Those were the 3 things we said to one another as we drove to the lot where they filmed the Jerry Summer Show. Then Jerry was telling us it would be okay. He put his hands on me. Jerry Summers touched my shoulders, my face. He held me. He told me everything was going to be okay, that he would help us find her, help anything we needed. We had a dressing room with a fruit basket. We had a makeup man, a little gay fellow who was so sweet when he explained that I wouldn't be wearing much makeup. He wouldn't be doing much with my hair. It was important that I looked as upset as I felt, but not like a complete wreck. It was a fine balance, he told me. Everyone at the Jerry Summer Show was optimistic. It was a good place to be. I was scared and hopeful. I ate candy after candy from the dish on the shelf in front of the makeup man's mirror. His name was Sonny, the makeup man. And that's exactly what he was. I hardly remember the Jerry Show at this point. I don't have any memory at all anymore. It was bright as hell, and there was an audience out there somewhere making sounds whenever I spoke, or even more sounds whenever Jerry spoke. I pictured a chorus of animals in the seat, bellowing. Jerry kept talking about a number at the bottom of the screen. Call this number. Call this number. He would ask me if I wanted to say anything to the kidnappers or whoever might have her. And I have so many things I wanted to say. But the makeup man told me the one thing to say, the simplest, most effective thing. Please return our daughter. We got in the car. Her dad told me I had been clear, direct, and that I held it together. That was the day I did it right. But the last one wasn't like that. After Jerry, I lost track. The woman her dad got to field the phone calls and the interview questions started calling us all the time. Everybody wanted to talk to us on their talk shows, and everybody wanted us to say the same thing. Please return our daughter. We were celebrities and all. It was great stuff. But the last guy just kind of slumped around on stage like an elephant. There was no audience, just a room with 2 cameras and some boys with microphones. It's all hazy at this point, but her dad got tired of answering and told the host so. The host kept on, so eventually her dad stood up, unclipped his mic, and stormed off the set. I sat there, all eyes on me. Few people know pressure like that. Talking to the entire world as if they were your daughter's kidnappers, murderers, adopters, whatever. The host asked me how things were at home, how we were all doing after this, nearly a year now. I wanted to tell him that we were all right, not sleeping much. We had our disagreements and dark times, but we were actually much calmer overall now. Just waiting for our daughter to appear again, just waiting for anything, really. But my mind started to wander a little. I told him about how she used to push her friends around. She was the bossiest little brat on the block. Kids would come over and she would put them to work making mud pies or cleaning sticks out of the yard, adding vines. Simple, curving lines were all she would allow, to some kind of mural of sidewalk drawings in pastel chalk. They could tell I was proud. They could tell how much I loved her. It was a good little anecdote. It came out of left field. I was funny, proud, sad, charming, spontaneous, the whole bit. I told jokes I can't remember. I never remember how I've charmed a person, only that I've done it. It never does me any good again, what they call an on night. I was just grateful for them when they came because things were momentarily easy, even kind of nice. That's all I remember. A brief sense of relief that the rest washes away. I floored them that night, and then I lost it. I was not clear or direct, and I did not hold it together, and everyone was moved, even the host. I could feel the whole world sigh at once. I broke, and that sigh became a gasp. I just wept there in my chair until the credits began to roll. Next thing I knew, I was sitting in my chair at home, the red chair by the window where I sit and wait sometimes, or just sit and stare sometimes, and I was crying and sobbing, and her dad was there with a coffee or a tea or something else steaming, but I didn't look at it. I just kept losing it, late into the night. When he had already gathered himself up in bed and turned out the lights to stare at the darkness, I finally traced his steps into the bedroom, and I got in next to him, still in my clothes and makeup. And we just stared into the lightless room together, not hearing any of the sounds outside, only the heart in our chest, thumping away dull and regular like everyone else's. What was our daughter like? She was like you today on the show. She stuck out a bee sting one time, came in out of the backyard with the stinger poking out of her arms without shedding a tear. She called herself Delilah. She buttered the toast with her finger no matter how many times we told her not to. Punishments did not deter her from doing again what had brought about the punishment. She laughed a lot, most often to herself. She often refused to tell what it was she was laughing at. She always left food on her plate because she claimed she liked the feel of scraping it into the trash can with a fork. This handsome detective used to come by the house, but always at the wrong time. He called himself Mac something. He was an Irish cop with a drinking problem, just like on the TV shows. I know it because he looked tired and sort of weak in the knees. He always accepted water when I offered. His thirst was unquenchable. He always came when her dad was out, so we couldn't both give him a statement. I told him the story I told everyone. We put her to bed, and when we woke up, she was gone. That's the whole of the story. No, nobody has any reason to want to do us or her harm. No, we didn't have any money or receive any requests for money or strange phone calls. The only people who called wanted to interview us. They were just like us. They just wanted to know more. He took notes. He had a round belly, bigger than his arms and face would suggest, and he set the pad on his belly sometimes when he was sitting in a chair on the porch or in the living room. He wasn't unfriendly, but he wasn't someone I would normally talk to. He was just doing his job, I guess. He seemed to care. He seemed to take it personally. I don't know why I felt that way, but it was the way I felt. He said her name over and over again, as if he were trying to memorize it. But he never hesitated, never struggled to remember it. It seemed an unnecessary measure taken out of respect and fear. The planks were not held down. There were holes where the nails should be. Tiny rusted holes. So the planks came loose with little effort. Under the porch, it's just dirt and a few bits of trash drawn there by the wind. I didn't know the kind of work I had ahead of me. I'm not a digger. I worked the earth for nearly an hour and had little more than a ditch. In a quilt, he seemed enormous. I just kept digging while the wind tossed the edges of the quilt around. Eventually, the hole was nearly big enough. Then I hit something. Something firm but soft and smooth, like a stone at the bottom of a lake. I already knew what it was without looking, but I brushed the dirt aside with my palms and fingers all the same. She was mostly bone, wrapped in a thin layer of matted hair. It was short. He must have cut it. My second thought was that it wasn't her, that there was no reason to believe it was her, that maybe it felt like her because some part of me wanted it to be her. Some part of me just wanted it all over and to know and to be done with it. That part of me was staring at the hair and trying to see it as an animal's trying to make the mud-caked mess into its natural color. That part of me was seeing a dead coyote and an old t-shirt and hearing the wind chime tremble and maybe even a car approaching. Her bones made only a small pile, gathered together. I had a sense of where some of them went, but not all. I would like to think I know my daughter so well that I could identify each and every part of her. Any mother would like to think that, probably. But it's true. Her dad might have pretended to know. Might have worked this into that and gummed one end and stuck it into the crook of another, but he was gone. I stopped worrying about what went where, and I gathered them together in a little bundle I could get my arms around and wrap them in a t-shirt. They had a musty smell, nothing too unsettling. They smelled like a grandparent or an old closet. I'm worried this is making me sound a little crazy. I'm just trying to tell you what happened, not why. Why has nothing to do with what, really. Not when it comes to this kind of thing. The why is ongoing and unsettled, always. And if anyone tries to tell you different, run. How could you kill a man who loved you? A man you claim to have loved as well? I know now that what I did was right, but I didn't know it at the time. I felt it had to be done, and I did it, only to discover that I had done the right thing. The hours he spent on the porch, his constant movement about the house. He knew all along that she was there. He was hiding it. The only imaginable reason for doing so is that he was the one who put her there. What proof do you have? The proof of the feeling and its confirmation. I knew I had to kill him, though I didn't know why. I knew I had to bury him beneath the porch, keep him nearby, and again without a clear reason. I knew the truth before I understood it. I knew the truth before it was confirmed as such. Were you aware that it is more often the case than not that parents are involved in the disappearance of a child? Parents or loved ones, it's almost always someone close. I did not choose to believe this, but I was told as much by a sad show host at the end of a week dedicated to missing children. She was a silent, kind of beautiful. The fabric of the shirt that held her smoothed the edges of the jagged bones. My finger ran along her little curves and watched the windows as the night moved past them. Every now and then the coyotes would gather outside and make those dreadful sounds. It was frightening without her dad there and his shovel, but it was nothing I couldn't handle. She was safe with me, and I knew the coyotes weren't something I needed to be afraid of. It's just the sound they make, the way they become more than coyotes. Like one of those nightmares where you know you're dreaming, but you can't wake yourself up. You just have to sit there and be afraid and let whatever it is wash over you. In my nightmares, the terror never recedes. It's always building up around me, towards me while I wait. If I could learn not to be afraid of what I can't prevent, then I could sleep a little more soundly, maybe. Did I mention I've been sleeping again? Not for more than a few moments at a time, but sleeping nonetheless. We sleep on the couch together, she and I. It's pleasant enough to drift off every now and again. I'm not so deranged that I don't notice how different this creature is than the one that came before. I am not so deranged that I don't know she is, in fact, not a creature at all. I still love her. She is still the light of my life. It's just a different quality of light. I can hold the whole of her in my arms. and will be forever able to. Can you imagine? Even when I held her as an infant, some part of me sensed the shifting taking place right there in my arms. She was always growing, stretching out and getting heavier. I would look away for only a moment and she'd be up an inch, snatching something off the counter or pulling something sharp from a drawer. That will never be the case again. She will forever and always be this perfect little armful. I marvel at the perfect armful and wonder how I could ever have doubted her existence. There was a time when I became so overwhelmed with missing her that I tried to erase her. My mind tried to reject what was killing it, the notion that she was out there somewhere and that I could not help her, could not have her. And now I have her again. She is here with me, and all of my love comes rushing up and through me, and I feel like a perfect creature again. I feel like a mother. When I lift the shirt that holds her together, the bones click and rustle against one another like a bucket full of shells. I consider all of the places I can take her. The beach, the grocery, the park, another state, another country. I could carry her along with me while I travel the world. I'm excited. My hands shake when I do regular things like tear loose a square of toilet paper or try to pour the milk. I'm no longer concerned with appearing strong for her. I feel strong, but I will melt in front of her, on top of her, into her. I collapse with regularity now. I hit the floor like an old branch. I crawl and weep like a child. She sits and sees it all. I show her what feeling is. I become sadness. I become anger. I become the numb kind of quiet. I hum alongside her on the couch for hours. She doesn't complain. She can't, I know that. I'm not delusional. But objects have an air of judgment about them on their own. The rocks feel our feet. The trees smell us in the yard. The stairs hear our footfalls, our farts, when we yell and scream at one another. Beds breathe in our tenderness. And in this measured way, my daughter came to know me.